Alright everyone, as you may know, Milo Yiannopoulos was kicked off of PayPal a few days ago in the wake of the Annapolis shooting because of his comments regarding journalists. Now, he has been deplatformed then. From the main platform used for all e-commerce, with the exception of the sales on Amazon, because I don't think they still accept PayPal. eBay does. I tend to use eBay, which is funny because I publish using an Amazon service. Self-publishing, publishing on demand through CreateSpace. Very convenient. I've had some problems lately, but mostly I've worked through them. It's better now. But he's been deplatformed by PayPal, and I was thinking to myself, here's another example of someone who apparently said something privately and sarcastically, and it was taken as though it was their actual views, and it was used. This was a private statement. This is why it's specifically worrying in his case. This was apparently like him joking with a few journalists that knew that he was just joking, but nobody actually worries, I think, about Milo hauling off and shooting journalists. I don't think that he's likely to do that. He's too rich to want to go to prison for something like that. He gets to literally, he can sit in a bathtub on the side of the street and he makes, 6 figures doing that. That's all he has to do. He shows up to a few colleges and makes some videos and gives a Q&A on Reddit or something, and he makes lots and lots of money for doing it. He's got it made, so I don't really worry about Milo Yiannopoulos going serial killer, going postal on us. His statement was clearly meant to be satirical. But because computers don't understand context, we've seen sarcasm and even mockery of hateful or violent ideologies gets people banned all the time on big tech. Now, usually they can get they get banned on Twitter for a sarcastic comment that quotes Hitler or something. Now, of course, the computer doesn't know it's sarcasm, kicks them off. They can usually get restored. YouTube, it's the same thing. A lot of the big users who have been banned off of YouTube over the last year have ended up getting their accounts back. It's just a massive pain in the ass hassle. When you've got hundreds of thousands of subscribers and it takes a week to get your account back, and in some cases, like with Bearing was off for quite some time there. And it was ridiculous, he couldn't even get a manual review, and it's so clear that a lot of what he says is satirical, it's sarcasm, it's basically like what Milo was saying there, and yet it gets taken as though it was not sarcasm. The thing is, Milo ends up trending, he gets defamed by the entire corporate media complex, and so PayPal kicks him off, they're like, oh, well, we don't want any outrage over being tied to him. But his comments were sarcastic. He's not actually inciting violence. He wasn't even saying it publicly. Meanwhile, somebody like Maxine Waters can actually incite people to harass others, committing a crime in the process. She should be kicked out of Congress for doing it. She wouldn't have any problem, I think, using PayPal. It's a little bit of a double standard, and it's not a political one. Milo, as you may recall, is not actually alt-right. He gets called that, but he's not. He's at this point, he's basically a neocon, to tell the truth. And I don't like the dude, but I don't think that he should be deplatformed. It's like when Patreon is kicked off, Lauren Southern got kicked off. I oppose that because no crime was committed. She wasn't charged with any crime. Nothing demonstrably violent occurred. I'm not seeing why she should be kicked off of any tech platform for that, but it's even worse. The biggest problem that I have with this situation, it's not just PayPal, this is just one part of it. The biggest problem that I have is that some of these tech firms that are the most censorious, and PayPal is certainly not, which is a good thing, they tend to be far more restrained because of the nature of their service, they are monopolistic. Within their realms. YouTube is a video monopoly. If you've posted a video online, there's a pretty good chance that it's on YouTube. Now, I use BitChute. I sometimes use Steemit when I can get it to work. Other people, they use PewTube. They put stuff on Dailymotion. Okay, that's great, and there are competitors. But 95% of all the videos are on YouTube. Let's be clear. That is a monopoly. If it were within any other industry, it would be considered a monopoly. Don't look at it as just tech. Tech has subcomponents that are way, way larger than any brick-and-mortar corporation has ever been. We're talking on the scale of Walmart on steroids when we're talking about something like YouTube. If it's social media, it is presumably on Facebook. If it's something Twitter style, the public instant messaging for your ego sort of thing, it's probably Twitter. Yeah, there are a couple million people now using Gab, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to Twitter, where you've got hundreds of millions of people using it. These are monopolies. Patreon is essentially, as far as recurrent donations go, a fundraising monopoly. I'd say GoFundMe is I think the biggest as far as, you know, goal-based. It's not really monopolistic. I think there's like Indiegogo and some others that compete with it. But Patreon is the main one as a recurrent platform. We've seen twice now, Patreon and Maker Support, they got deplatformed literally by financial services too. Literally, if a site is willing to allow people to fundraise who may be off color, they can get in trouble for that too. BitChute's had problems. Gab got deplatformed by its domain registrar months ago. You remember that? And it shouldn't be happening. If you want to have a cohesive, peaceable internet where speech can take place and where, by the way, more money is generated, people should not be deplatformed for sarcasm or for offensive views. It simply shouldn't be happening. I fail to see why it's necessary for any society to do that. It sounds a lot like what you'd get in a tin horn dictatorship. Oh, you're not allowed to post certain things about the king or about this old council or something. You're not allowed to criticize them. Milo's comments were strictly and clearly sarcasm, and he came out and said, hey, this is sarcasm. It was also a private statement that simply got made public by the corporate media. You know, those same people I compete with, you know, why do you think that I would never want to go on a TV interview? It's never going to happen. If a reporter, I've had reporters contact me, I don't want to correspond with them because I know, like anything that I say to them could end up getting posted all over the internet anyway. It probably would be. Because they're my competitors. You got to be careful. And I would encourage all of you, if you ever get contacted by some friendly, smiling face at CNN, don't give them the time of day. Don't talk to them. Don't interview with them. Why would you bother anyway? Much easier to talk to other YouTubers. They're scumbags, really, is what they are. And then, you know, they did this. In a way, they were trying to do this to get him deplatformed. Now, of course, he can just have someone else, I guess, have a PayPal routed through stuff. But then if PayPal finds out about it, they can kick him off again. You know, maybe his husband has a PayPal, maybe he links that to his e-commerce stuff. It's not like I'm exactly clamoring for the Milo headscarf or something like that, but I think it's worrisome, especially when PayPal is basically a bank. PayPal is a banking service. Banking services should not be able to deplatform people unless they're engaged in criminal behavior under their nation's laws. You know, of course, there's nothing you can do. You know, some foreign bank, you know, deplatforms people for the wrong religion or something. It's not really, the U.S. Laws don't cover that. We can't protect people with the First Amendment if they're outside of the U.S. But as far as here, is it something criminal? Well, yeah, I can think of people who have engaged in criminal behavior. You know, some of them are pundits and politicians. And they're still in office, or they're still on their shows, or there's some allegation against them. Should they immediately be deplatformed without the ability to actually rebut any charges against them? It's like, oh yeah, we kicked you off of every service ever known to man, like Tommy Robinson. He's been deplatformed across the entire internet anyway, it's basically. He's a non-person. He's a disappeared entity for all intents and purposes. Now literally disappeared into a prison on charges. It'd never be brought up in the US, and yet some site like Twitter will kick him off for basically the same thing. You don't have to support someone's ideology or agree with any specific comment they made. Like, I don't want to see journalists harmed either. Yeah, and I have to say that. Apparently now, because I've got a large audience, I have to make sure that people know that I would never want them to be violent. Otherwise, I can get in trouble. If one of my fans hauls off and punches some CNN reporter, suddenly it becomes my fault. They might be subscribed to 1,000 other fucking people, but it'll be my fault because I'm the one that does the social commentary. We've gotten to that point where fucking YouTubers have to actually, like, disavow violence. When is NBC going to do that? Am I going to see CNN, like the CNN team comes out for a 10-minute special where they all sign a piece of paper saying, hey, don't kill in our name or something? Nobody's going to kill in Milo Yiannopoulos' name. Milo's certainly not. It'd be really funny to see him try to fight. It's not going to happen, dude. And yet he gets deplatformed like he's been kicked off of half the big tech firms. So basically, and the thing is, when this happens, let's say you don't like Milo, like for political reasons. I just think he's an attention seeker. I don't really respect that. But let's say that I'm like far left or something. Oh, Milo, that evil Nazi. Why would I want him to see him deplatformed? Number one, it's unethical and hypocritical, really, because it can happen to anyone on the left at any given time. All a tech firm has to do is say, well, we're conservatives now, I guess. We want a lower tax rate, so we're going to kick Democrats off our platform. There's something, as a crowd pack or something, was it, that's decided that Republicans can't fundraise it on it anymore, and it's like, okay, well, there goes half of your actual income on your fucking website. I don't understand. Oh, I don't understand. You're just leaving room open for someone to have a Republican-only fundraising platform. Probably end up happening. We need a libertarian one, by the way, for people running for office or engaged in politics. That'd be a good one. You get deplatformed probably by PayPal. But here's the thing. When this happens, it just gives him more attention. Milo is trending worldwide for a few hours, giving him a huge amount of attention. And some of those people, they'll look up a video of his, they'll say, oh, he doesn't sound so bad after all, and they'll join his fan club or buy his hat or something. You do realize that it just makes him money. It's like even negative attention is good for someone who is self-branded and self-advertised. Like when BuzzFeed runs a hit piece on me and lies about me, it's still getting me attention. It's still bringing more people to the channel. Some of them are here just to shitpost maybe, but they're still here. They're still viewing the videos. Wall Street Journal name drops me in a hit piece that I guess 10 people read. I think most of the people that ended up reading these articles probably are people that read them because they were already fans and then I mentioned them. Or Malnu mentions it, or Blonde, or somebody else who gets subjected to some stupid hit piece. But, you know, we live in a world where there are large numbers of people who will simply take CNN's word for it and say, oh, Sargon, that you mean the modern-day Heinrich Himmler? You know, they don't even know anything about the dude. It's like he gets called a liberalist and stuff and disavows everything and says, I'm basically left-wing. It's hilarious, dude. I shouldn't have to fucking remind people, hey, I disavow political violence, otherwise I might get banned off every platform because some fan of mine does something wrong. Milo had no ties. The Annapolis shooter wasn't a Milo fan. No, the Annapolis shooter just had a personal grudge. They tried to play it up as though he's a big-time MAGA fan because he followed some dude on Twitter who was like right-wing, and he followed Donald Trump on Twitter. So that could be the only motivation. It couldn't have anything to do with the personal grudge, or if it did, it was political and tied in with Trump. Trump is responsible for the shooting. No, he's not. If someone is doing violence in someone else's name and the person has not incited them to do that or alluded to wanting their fans or their friends or something to be violent, it's not their fault. It's the fault of the other person who needs to take responsibility for their shitty actions. Some crime that they've committed. They punched somebody. It's like, does that mean that every time someone on Twitter says punch Nazis, then if someone goes out, they see that, go out and punch somebody in the head who's not a Nazi, and they get charged for it, does that mean that it is the other person's fault? No, they're not the one that threw the punch. They're not inciting it. They're not commanding anyone to do it. They're not able to command anyone. That's about all. Peace out.